I'm unsure if there are others that maybe think like me. Open minded, logical, but also very emotional. I always came right down the middle of between the right and the left brains. I was very analytical, but I was also very emotional. So, one of those situations where you're not quite all in and having one foot in one foot in the other. I always thought that the inner commentary or the talks that I were having in my mind were just me talking to myself, like that we always had. You have like yourself, you have like the two parts. It was just natural. I just accepted it. I'm beginning to think something a little different recently. I too have been experiencing the Great Awakening, although I think that my awakening began at my birth. My mother prepared me for a lot of this. I'm familiar with a lot of groups. I'm familiar with things. She was sure to have me reading a number of different thought experiences, different people. But both of my parents did instill in me very strong morals, I think, without the attachment to social mores, if that makes sense. My mother even said to me at some point, and I think I was maybe in my 20s, early 20s or something in that neighborhood, and she said to me, you're very rigid and you're very moralistic. And I didn't see it that way. But as I'm learning, I have always had certain deeply held beliefs, what else you might want to call it, beliefs and or just your character. And I want to recommend that movie Character from Holland. I'm going to try to look that up. I've been thinking about that movie a lot, and Safe with Julianne Moore. Somehow those two movies seem to resonate a lot with what's going on today. And there's another one too, then I don't want to get the name wrong. But those are the three films that I've been thinking of lately. My mom introduced me to, but most of all, she instilled me with the idea to question and to wonder, and that this place is wonderful and we may not be alone, and just the possibility. She was always about the possibility. Just consider the possibility. So being crunchy without being crunchy, essentially. So all of these concepts now that were fringe a few years ago that are completely mainstream. It is really wonderful to see, but it also means I'm like, oh yeah, I know about that. Oh yeah, I know about that. Just don't bring back carob, okay? Anybody who has tasted carob knows what I'm saying here. That cannot come back. That was not real, okay? I know it's not real because don't nobody eat that shit no more. Anyway, so being familiar with all of these concepts and ideas and dreams and foretelling and certain rules. So I thought I'd maybe share some of the things that my mother told me over the years. Just, just stories about growing up. One of the things she told me was that if a psychic or an intuitive or any rich, all of those, she kind of said they were the same thing, different practices, whatnot. Just she never they're all the same. They could see. Seers is even better. She said if they ever have anything to say to you, they will find you, or if they happen to come across you, because that's what universe does, puts you in someone else's path, and you see something for them, they will tell you, because the urge will be so strong that you need to know that message. So they'll tell you. So anytime anybody comes to you and says, oh, I got a message for you, $5, if they want to tell you, if it is the spirit is telling them that much, there's not money does not matter. That's one thing she told me. The other thing she used to tell me is you never know what goes on behind people's doors. She always said, be careful of people put on a front. And it's not like this is new shit, right? But I'm just saying, think about it in the consciousness realm, all right? She'd say, You don't know what they're putting on to impress you, to entice you, to get your energy, to get your attention. They'll say anything. You don't know who that person is. So whatever, and people have a lot of reasons for why they say one thing in the street and behind closed doors it's something else, which feeds into my point of this is disclosure time for everyone. So, and what I mean by it, I don't know what my mama meant, but I meant that if you have things in your past that you are not proud of, that's okay. But don't be so proud that you cannot disclose those things if someone else's welfare is at stake. Think about it. If you have something, a secret about yourself that you just don't want anybody to know, and the reason you're doing or you're allowing yourself to be manipulated to tell untruths, to do untrue things, things against the law of the universe, is for yourself. So that's being selfish. That's being selfish. But if you think about you and that you're part of everything else and they're part of you, protecting them is just as good as protecting you. And therefore, that if you look at it that way, being selfish is very good. The key is that you understand is that you are everyone and everyone else is you. One thing it's coming in my head, so I'm going to say it because I think it and then I forget to talk about it. I've said this, be discernful. Some people are trying to throw the wool over your eyes, follow the truth and all. Yes, I do say that. But yes, I do say that. I say it because it's true. But I do not wish for you to come away with the impression that that's the majority of souls. Dark forces are always lesser or smaller than light. The way that they win is by tricking some of those in the light into projecting dark. And that's betrayal. Betrayal. Betrayal is an untruth of one you'd sworn to, that you had disclosed to, and then you changed it. You made a soul contract with. When I say be careful, I simply mean that there are a lot of parties that have interests, and you must always look at what motives are. When you see and you understand what motives are, then you can discern maybe what the decision is that you need to make for yourself. These are scary times. The way that we can absolutely stomp this in the dust and get it over with is for everyone to disclose that they're a lover of the truth, they're a lover of justice, and they're a lover of the American dream. Let me address those who may have skin like mine or be considered a minority or a fringe community or group. It is true that the people who were in charge of the dream of the United States of America since its inception have not had the best interests of all people in mind. That's correct. However, we take what they have given us that is correct and is true, and we retain it. And we move forward, future to the future, and we take those ideas and we implement actual practicalities for the people that we are in the time that we are. People seem to forget that it wasn't that these ideas came into the founding fathers' heads. They have taken a collective of what they thought was the best of many cultures to bring it together. Up until then, what they knew of. isn't it only logical that we today, who know more, would then craft the same ideals to the situation as it stands? They intended for us to amend the Constitution on a regular basis with this in mind. I don't think they thought they were perfect. I think they're pretty sure they weren't. They knew it. And in some cases, likely, were playing a karmic game. They knew they weren't maybe going to get it in this life, but maybe in the next life it'd be a little better because they had something to do with the dream that is the United States of America. I don't know about you. I love the United States of America. I love the Constitution. I love and I know that it allows us to grow with the people that we become. I understand that special people, some even say that the quote unquote founding fathers may have been intuitives, or at least some of them, like, Benjamin Franklin, maybe. Why not? If we're here now, why couldn't they have just the same factions that we have in our culture today? The details might be slightly different, but the argument's still the same. Freedom or not, truth or in truth, justice or injustice. It's something worth fighting for. And even if you only do it in your mind, change that mind. If we don't want a government, we won't have it. We don't have to go into the streets. That is the beauty of the transition of power. We are a growing consciousness. We must consider ourselves extensions of the founding elders. And that includes the native founding elders and the Egyptian founding, all of these things coming together. It's worth doing, and it's really easy to do. Think about that better world. One of the other things my mom used to say, and I've kind of taken it and tweaked it for my own, dream it first and then plan. Let's see how it works.